The Galactic Council Hall stretched far beyond what any human mind could imagine. Towering spires of crystal and metal intertwined, glowing softly with energy drawn from nearby stars. Thousands of delegates from hundreds of species filled the enormous chamber. Each species carried its own weight of history, technology, and pride. Yet for all their knowledge, not one of them fully understood the implications of what was about to be discussed. At the center of the hall, a sphere of pulsating light projected the form of the speaker, High Chancellor Zira of the Solarian Dominion. Zira's voice echoed in multiple frequencies, translating perfectly for every species. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Zira began, "we gather today to discuss a species that has recently begun its ascent into interstellar travel. Their name is humans. I urge caution. Their potential exceeds what we have yet observed. They are unpredictable, resilient, and adaptive beyond their apparent limitations." A ripple of chatter spread across the hall. Some delegates leaned forward, intrigued. Others flicked their attention to their devices, dismissing the warning. "Unpredictable?" a representative from the Vortan Collective asked, its multiple eyes narrowing. "They are barely beyond their home system. Primitive in every sense of the word. How can they pose a threat to civilizations like ours?" Zira's light shimmered, emphasizing the words. "It is precisely their perceived primitiveness that makes them dangerous. They survive in environments that would be fatal to most species. They endure hardship with a level of tenacity we have rarely witnessed. If underestimated, they will surpass expectations rapidly." From the far side of the chamber, a representative of the Arundel swarm hissed its disagreement. "This council cannot waste resources on a species that barely scratches the surface of space. They have no fleets, no coordinated military. Their technology is crude." "But that is deceptive," Zira countered. "Their innovation is unmatched when driven by necessity. They improvise solutions in ways no other species can. What we see as crude is often the first step to unprecedented achievement. They do not follow conventional limitations." A murmur of discontent passed through the delegates. Many found Zira's warning alarmist. Others, more cautious, made notes, quietly observing. The humans, after all, were still a fledgling species. It seemed impossible that they could pose any real challenge to the galactic order. A holographic display activated above Zira, showing images of Earth, vast oceans, sprawling continents, and cities that gleamed with lights visible from orbit. "These are their worlds," Zira said. "They are diverse, resourceful, and remarkably adaptable. Their societies are complex but resilient. They survive disease, famine, and conflict with a level of cooperation that has allowed them to flourish despite numerous setbacks. Their potential is enormous, and I urge this council to monitor them closely." The chamber of delegates erupted in a mixture of skepticism and laughter. Agrelian ambassadors' long tendrils waved dismissively. "We have seen many species rise and fall. Why should we pay particular attention to this one?" "Because they will not fall in ways we expect," Zira replied. "They learn quickly. They unite in times of crisis. They innovate under pressure. If we continue to ignore them, it will be too late before we realize the truth." The debate stretched for hours. Delegates argued about resources, risks, and the practicality of observation. Some suggested sending observers to Earth. Others thought it a waste of time. Zira remained firm but calm, presenting historical examples of human survival and ingenuity. Each example, drawn from humanity's struggles and triumphs, painted a picture of a species that refused to be constrained. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, on Earth, humans were unaware of the attention they had garnered. On one continent, a group of engineers tested a new propulsion system in a small research facility. A child in another city studied star charts with fascination. Across oceans and mountains, humanity continued its daily life, oblivious to the warnings issued in distant halls of power. Back in the council, a faction of delegates finally spoke up in favor of monitoring humans. "Perhaps we should at least observe them quietly," said a calm, four-armed representative from the Thrin Union. "If Zira is correct, we will want early knowledge of their progress." Most delegates, however, dismissed the suggestion. The consensus leaned toward inaction. To most of them, humans were still insignificant, a curiosity rather than a threat. The council session closed with little resolution, leaving only a handful of species seriously considering Zira's warning. After the session, Zira lingered in the hall. The glowing spires reflected in their form as they moved through the corridors. Though surrounded by beings of immense intelligence, Zira felt the weight of solitude. Many had not listened, and history had shown that ignoring potential could be catastrophic. In the following weeks, minor incidents began to occur in sectors near human space. Small scout ships from alien civilizations reported strange patterns of movement, unusual problem-solving, and a tenacity that was hard to explain. But the reports were filed and largely forgotten. Council members had already made their judgments. Humans were not a threat. On Earth, life continued. Scientists launched satellites, students studied the stars, and cities buzzed with activity. Humans faced challenges daily: storms, resource shortages, political conflicts, but they adapted. They solved problems, innovated new technologies, and continued to grow. Every success, though small on a cosmic scale, hinted at a species with the rare combination of creativity, persistence, and moral resilience. One evening, at the International Space Observation Center, a human astronomer stared at the stars through a massive telescope. She adjusted the focus, noticing a glimmer of movement among distant points of light. "Something's out there," she murmured. "I don't know what it is yet, but it's watching." Unseen by her, the Council had indeed begun monitoring humans, but only minimally. Most species continued to regard humans as harmless. Only Zira and a few cautious observers maintained close attention. And yet, even this small level of observation confirmed what Zira had warned. Humans were capable of far more than the galaxy had given them credit for. Meanwhile, rumors began circulating among younger species, whispers of human resilience, strange inventions, and inexplicable survival. Some dismissed these as exaggeration. Others quietly paid attention, sensing that something remarkable was unfolding. In the Galactic Council, weeks turned into months. Humans continued their progress, building faster ships, exploring nearby star systems, and demonstrating innovation that confounded prediction models. Yet the Council debated endlessly, clinging to assumptions. "They are clever but limited," said one ambassador. "They have not faced true galactic threats yet." Zira watched quietly. The patterns were clear. Humanity was learning, growing, and uniting. Their potential was not linear but exponential. If ignored further, humans could become a force no one was prepared for. Finally, Zira sent one last warning before leaving the council hall for a distant star system. A recorded message that would play only if humanity reached certain milestones. In it, Zira said, "Underestimate them at your own peril. They endure what others cannot. They innovate when others fail, and they unite when others fracture. The galaxy will learn the truth soon enough. I hope it is not too late." As the message encoded itself into the Galactic Observation Network, life on Earth continued. Children laughed in playgrounds, researchers scribbled equations on chalkboards, and humans looked to the stars with hope and curiosity. They were unaware of the attention, the skepticism, and the warnings. But they were ready, and the galaxy, for all its knowledge and power, had not yet realized the force it had quietly allowed to grow. Humanity had always looked to the stars with wonder, but now that the first interstellar vessels were ready, curiosity became action. The Starbound Explorer, Earth's first long-range ship, glided silently through the void. Its crew was small but skilled: engineers, scientists, and a few trained pilots, all united by a singular goal: to reach beyond their solar system and see what lay among the stars. Captain Elena Vargas stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the distant lights of Alpha Centauri. The ship's instruments hummed, reporting readings faster than any human could process. "Status report," she said calmly, though her heart raced. Lieutenant Jamal Chen responded. "All systems nominal. We've cleared the heliopause. Sensors detect no immediate threats." Elena nodded. "Good. Let's keep it that way." She knew that the universe was vast and danger could appear where least expected. Meanwhile, in a distant sector, alien fleets monitored the humans' first movements. For the Vortan Collective, it was almost a form of entertainment. "Primitive species attempting interstellar travel," their command said, antennas twitching. "This will be amusing." The humans' first steps into interstellar space were cautious. They approached neutral territory, carefully avoiding known alien patrols. Yet the moment they entered open space, signals reached alien observers. A few fleets decided to intercept, assuming it would be a simple demonstration of power. The Starbound Explorer detected an unknown vessel on an intercept course. Elena's crew watched in silence. The alien ship, massive and menacing, radiated authority, Its hull shimmered with energy shields, and strange non-human symbols were projected in holographic light. The alien ship hailed them immediately. A voice translated by universal protocol boomed, "Humans of Sol, you are trespassing in territory under observation. Identify yourselves and explain your purpose." Elena took a deep breath and responded, "We are explorers from Earth. Our mission is peaceful. We seek knowledge, not conflict." A pause followed. The alien captain seemed to consider, then said, "Peaceful intentions are meaningless if you cannot survive the consequences of your actions." And then, unexpectedly, the alien ship attempted to maneuver aggressively, testing the humans' response. The humans' sensors warned them of potential collision. Captain Elena made a split-second decision. The Starbound explorer performed a maneuver that the aliens had not anticipated. It worked. The humans avoided danger with a combination of quick thinking and the ship's adaptive navigation system. The aliens recoiled slightly, as though surprised by the humans' ingenuity. They had expected hesitation, not creativity. Lieutenant Chen whispered to Elena, "They didn't see that coming." "No, they didn't," she replied, her calm demeanor hiding a spark of pride. "Let's keep them talking." The alien captain's voice returned. "You survive through luck or through instinct?" "Both," Elena said, "and through preparation." We learned quickly. The exchange, though tense, revealed something important. The humans were not easily intimidated. The aliens had expected fear, obedience, or surrender. Instead, they met cleverness and calm resolve. Over the next few days, humans continued their journey, encountering more alien observers. Each time, they used intelligence and creativity to solve problems. In one sector, a massive asteroid belt blocked their course. Sensors showed the belt was unstable and dangerous. Other species would have waited for safer conditions, but the humans did something unexpected. They analyzed the asteroid patterns, calculated safe paths, and sent drones to shift smaller rocks, creating a temporary corridor. The fleet watching them was astonished. No other species would have dared such a precise and bold maneuver. The humans' reputation began to spread quickly among nearby civilizations. Stories of their first interstellar journey, of their problem-solving and ingenuity, reached fleets far beyond Earth. Some species whispered warnings to each other, while others dismissed the humans as an anomaly, small, fragile, but perhaps interesting. A few weeks later, the humans reached a neutral planet with a small trading station in orbit. Their first official contact with a galactic species occurred there. The aliens at the station were taller than humans, with silver skin that reflected the planet's sun. They had expected humans to be hesitant, nervous, or weak. Instead, Elena and her team entered with confidence, offering gifts of technology, maps of Earth, and explanations of their purpose. The aliens examined the items carefully, and to everyone's surprise, they were impressed. Humans' technology was crude by galactic standards, but it was clever and adaptable. One of the alien scientists asked, "How did you survive in space without advanced shielding?" "We adapted," replied Elena. "We built systems that worked with what we had. We solve problems as they appear, not just in theory." The alien nodded slowly, realizing the human's strength was not raw power, but ingenuity. Meanwhile, reports of humans spread to larger fleets. The Vortan Collective, initially dismissive, began to reconsider. The humans' survival in hazardous space, combined with their clever solutions and calm demeanor, suggested a species far more capable than appearances indicated. In another encounter, humans stumbled upon a derelict alien vessel, drifting in a nebula filled with corrosive gas. Other species would have ignored it, fearing contamination or traps. Humans, however, approached with caution and curiosity. Using remote probes and protective suits, they explored the ship, salvaging data that contained lost scientific knowledge. This discovery astonished every alien fleet that had been monitoring them. The humans' ability to thrive in danger and learn from it was unmatched. Back in the Galactic Council, Sira watched the reports come in. Every incident confirmed the warnings from before. Humans were not to be underestimated. "They do not fight like us," Sira said quietly, "but they endure, adapt, and innovate. They are unpredictable, and that makes them powerful." Some younger species began to ally with humans, drawn by their ingenuity and moral approach. They saw that humans were not interested in domination, but in exploration, problem-solving, and cooperation. This made them appealing as partners even for species accustomed to cunning politics. Other species, however, remained wary. "This is not sustainable," a Vorton officer complained. "They cannot possibly maintain this pace. They are fragile." But humans proved them wrong time and again. They repaired failing engines in deep space, navigated treacherous gravitational anomalies, and even diffused conflicts between alien factions simply by listening, reasoning, and proposing fair solutions. Each success spread their reputation further. On the human ship, the crew did not boast or celebrate excessively. They remained focused, learning, observing, and pushing forward. Yet their actions carried a quiet authority. Even the most skeptical aliens could not deny their effectiveness. One day, as the Starbound explorer approached a small cluster of planets, a massive alien warship appeared, blocking their path. Its intent was clear: intimidation. The humans had faced nothing like this before. The crew braced, expecting confrontation, but instead of attacking directly, the humans calculated every possibility. They used gravitational slingshots, precise timing, and electronic decoys. The massive alien ship, though powerful, could not predict the humans' unconventional approach. In the end, the humans passed safely, leaving the aliens stunned. Captain Elena recorded a message to Earth. "We are discovering that the galaxy does not fully understand humans. They assume weakness where there is resilience, simplicity where there is creativity, and hesitation where there is courage. We will continue to explore, learn, and adapt. The galaxy may not be ready for what is coming." That night, as the crew rested, Elena looked out at the stars. She felt a mixture of awe and responsibility. Humanity had entered a galaxy filled with powerful civilizations, many of which underestimated them. But humans had a strength that no one could take away: their ingenuity, their determination, and their ability to adapt in ways no other species could predict. In distant sectors, alien observers continued to report on the humans. Their messages carried astonishment, disbelief, and cautious respect. "They survive," one alien wrote. "They adapt. They do not yield. What are they capable of?" Back on Earth, the world remained unaware of the humans' growing reputation among the stars. People continued their lives, dreaming of the sky, building and learning. Yet each innovation, each new success in space, quietly prepared humanity for what was to come. And far across the galaxy, the first seeds of realization began to take root. The warnings that the Galactic Council had issued months ago were no longer hypothetical. Humans were here. They were clever, adaptable, and unyielding. For the first time, some species began to wonder if they had underestimated a force far greater than anyone had expected. By now, humans had traveled far beyond the boundaries of their own solar system. Their reputation among alien civilizations was no longer just curiosity. It had begun to inspire caution. Ships from distant sectors began to observe the humans quietly, reporting on their strange resilience, ingenuity, and ability to solve problems in unexpected ways. Captain Elena Vargas stood on the bridge of the Starbound Explorer, looking at the holographic map of nearby star systems. Colors indicated political alliances, trade routes, and areas of potential conflict. "We've come far," she said softly to Lieutenant Chen, "but there's still so much to learn." Jamal Chen nodded. "And so much to explore. Every system we enter teaches us something new, not just about space, but about ourselves." Their next mission was a diplomatic one. A nearby system, home to the Corellian Confederacy, faced internal unrest. Two factions had been in conflict for decades, and attempts at peace had repeatedly failed. The humans had been invited, not as military support but as neutral mediators. Their reputation for clever, unbiased problem-solving had preceded them. When the humans arrived, Corellian leaders expected them to be easily intimidated, or perhaps naive. But the humans entered the chamber with calm confidence. Captain Elena spoke first. "We are here to listen," she said. "Not to take sides, but to help you find solutions that benefit everyone." For days, the humans studied the situation. They listened to each faction, learned the history, and carefully considered the needs of all parties. Unlike alien diplomats who relied on intimidation, deception, or threats, humans relied on clarity, logic, and fairness. Slowly, the factions began to trust them. Then, with careful planning and negotiation, the humans proposed a solution. It was simple in concept, but it accounted for every major concern. The factions debated, tested ideas, and finally agreed. What seemed impossible at first, ending decades of conflict, was now achieved. In a message to Earth, Captain Elena reported, "Our success here is not due to strength, but understanding. We see problems from perspectives that others overlook. That is our power." News of the Corellian peace spread quickly. Humans were no longer just survivors or explorers. They were problem solvers, capable of turning impossible situations into achievable outcomes. Alien species began to seek them out, asking for advice, collaboration, and partnership. Meanwhile, some of the older, more powerful species began to feel uneasy. The Vortan Collective, once dismissive of humans, now regarded them with concern. "They are small, but growing influence faster than any species we know," said a Vortan officer. "We cannot ignore them any longer." The humans themselves remained humble. On board the Starbound Explorer, engineers were designing better propulsion systems. Scientists were studying alien technologies, and researchers were exploring uncharted star systems. Their focus was on learning, adapting, and improving. In one sector, humans encountered a planet suffering from severe environmental collapse. The atmosphere was toxic, storms frequent, and resources scarce. Other alien species had abandoned the planet, deeming it unworthy of attention. The humans, however, saw opportunity. Using portable terraforming devices, atmospheric filters, and water reclamation systems, they began stabilizing the planet. They worked alongside local inhabitants, teaching them new techniques and sharing tools. Within months, the planet's environment improved. Plants began to grow again, and clean water returned to rivers. Observers from nearby systems recorded every action. They were amazed. No species had combined technology, strategy, and compassion in such a way. Humanity's reputation shifted yet again, from clever problem solvers to agents of hope and progress. Not all species welcomed humans. Some older civilizations viewed them as a threat. Their adaptability, cooperation, and rapid success made others feel vulnerable. Secret councils were formed to discuss how to contain or control humanity. Yet every plan failed. Humans' unpredictability, creativity, and resilience outmatched conventional strategies. On a distant research station, an alien scientist confided to a colleague, "I thought they were weak. I thought they would be easy to manage. But their ideas, their way of thinking, it is unlike anything we have encountered." At the same time, humans continued to grow stronger, not through conquest but through collaboration. They formed alliances with species previously marginalized or ignored. Together, they shared knowledge, resources, and technology. These alliances strengthened humans' influence far more effectively than any warship or weapon could. The Galactic Council began to take notice. Reports of human diplomacy, scientific advancement, and unexpected successes reached the hall. Council members who had once dismissed Zira's warnings could no longer ignore the evidence. "They are different," said a counselor from the Thrin Union. "We underestimated them, and now the galaxy is beginning to change because of them." Even within the council, debates arose. Some feared humans' growing influence. If they continue to unite species and solve conflicts, older powers may lose control, one ambassador warned. "Oh, we cannot allow a species so flexible to rise too quickly." Zira, however, remained calm. They do not seek control. They seek solutions. Their strength lies not in domination, but in innovation, morality, and cooperation. That is why they are dangerous to those who underestimate them. As humans expanded, they also faced challenges. One mission involved exploring a star system with violent radiation storms. Navigation was perilous, and the ship's instruments risked failure. Many species would have avoided it entirely. Humans, however, adapted. Using innovative shielding techniques and predictive models, they charted safe courses through the storms. They discovered valuable minerals and rare energy sources, which they shared with allied species. Once again, humans demonstrated that the combination of intellect, courage, and adaptability made them uniquely capable. In another instance, a group of alien colonists faced starvation after a sudden resource shortage. Humans arrived not as conquerors but as helpers. They implemented sustainable farming methods, water reclamation, and energy-efficient solutions. The colony survived, and word of humans' generosity spread across nearby systems. Even in social interactions, humans impressed alien species. Their approach was straightforward, honest, and adaptable. They listened more than they spoke, sought understanding before judgment, and worked with others instead of against them. For many aliens, this was a revelation. They do not seek to dominate, yet they are powerful, one observer reported. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the global population followed news of space exploration with fascination. Citizens did not fully understand the extent of humans' accomplishments, but pride grew. Humanity had reached beyond its home planet and proved that even a small species could make a difference on a galactic scale. Captain Elena often reflected on the Council's initial warnings. "They told us the galaxy would underestimate us," she said to her crew. And they were right. But underestimation has its benefits. It lets us move quietly, learn, and grow stronger without interference. The crew agreed. Each new challenge, each new contact taught them something valuable. They had learned to think creatively, act decisively, and remain compassionate in their dealings. These traits, more than technology or weapons, were what made humanity exceptional. In distant sectors, alien fleets adjusted their tactics. Some attempted to mimic human strategies, but their efforts failed. Humans' unique combination of intellect, ingenuity, and moral reasoning could not be replicated. It was not brute strength that made them powerful. It was their ability to adapt and innovate in ways no other species could. For the first time, some alien species began to respect humanity, not just as explorers but as a force for progress. They sought alliances, trade agreements, and joint scientific projects. Slowly, humans were no longer outsiders. They were partners, advisors, and catalysts for change. Yet, as humans rose, older powers grew wary. The Vortan Collective, the Arundel Swarm, and others began to discuss containment strategies. But Zira's words echoed in the back of their minds. Humans were unpredictable. Attempts to manipulate or control them were met with unexpected solutions, clever negotiations, and resilience, and so, humanity's influence continued to expand. Not through fear, but through ingenuity, collaboration, and moral courage. Every challenge faced, every obstacle overcome, reinforced a growing truth across the galaxy. Humans were extraordinary. Captain Elena looked out at the stars one evening, thinking about the journey so far. "We are small in the galaxy," she said softly, "but our reach is growing. And the galaxy has only begun to see what we can do." Lieutenant Chen nodded. "We survive, we adapt, and we learn. And maybe, just maybe, we inspire others to do the same." As humans continued to rise, the older species began to realize that the warnings of the Galactic Council had been true. Humans were different, unpredictable, and unstoppable in ways no one had fully understood. The galaxy was beginning to change, not because of war or force, but because of a species that refused to be limited. The stage was set. Humans had proven themselves clever, adaptable, and compassionate. They were no longer just newcomers. They were rising influencers, shaping the galaxy quietly, steadily, and powerfully. And across countless worlds, the first seeds of respect, fear, and awe were planted. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now it was. The galaxy had grown restless. Systems once at peace were now under threat from a mysterious cosmic phenomenon, a wave of energy storms that appeared without warning. Entire star systems faced destruction, and no species had the knowledge or technology to stop it. Fleets scrambled, scientists panicked, and leaders argued over strategy. Chaos spread. Captain Elena Vargas and the crew of the Starbound Explorer received word of the crisis while navigating a neutral sector. "Reports say entire planets are being wiped out," Lieutenant Jamal Chen said grimly. "Nothing we've seen before." Elena's face remained calm. "Then we do what humans always do," she replied. "We adapt, learn, and find solutions. Someone has to. Why not us?" The humans immediately began analyzing the energy storms. Using a combination of sensors, predictive models, and unconventional thinking, they discovered patterns that no other species had noticed. The storms were not completely random. They followed subtle cosmic rhythms that could be anticipated and navigated. While most alien species panicked or tried to flee, humans began constructing mobile observation stations near affected systems. They tested small interventions, learning from each attempt. Each success, no matter how minor, was carefully documented and shared with any species willing to cooperate. Some alien fleets watched skeptically. "They are too small to help," one officer scoffed. "They can't possibly make a difference, but humans proved otherwise. Using innovative energy redistribution devices, they stabilized portions of the storms, protecting planets from immediate destruction. Their methods combined understanding, ingenuity, and risk-taking, qualities no other species could match. On one particularly devastated planet, humans coordinated a rescue operation. The planet's atmosphere had been disrupted by a storm, and surface conditions were deadly. Human engineers deployed shields and atmospheric stabilizers while teaching local populations to implement emergency protocols. Within days, the planet was habitable again. Local species celebrated, calling humans guardians of the storm. In the Galactic Council, reports of human success reached delegates in every sector. Zira's earlier warnings echoed through the chambers. "They do not fight with weapons or fleets," Zira said quietly, "but they solve problems that others cannot. Their strength lies in their ability to think, adapt, and act decisively." The Vorten Collective, previously dismissive, convened a secret council. "We miscalculated," one officer admitted. "They are not merely surviving, they are leading. How is it possible for a species so small to make such a difference?" Humanity's rise in influence became undeniable. They coordinated joint efforts with allied species, pooling knowledge, technology, and strategy. Communication between systems improved, and casualties were reduced wherever humans intervened. They were small, yet their impact was vast. During one operation, the Starbound explorer faced an extreme storm that had already destroyed several alien vessels. Sensors flickered, alarms blared, but Captain Elena remained focused. "We've faced worse," she said. "Trust the system, trust each other, and trust your instincts." The humans navigated the storm with precision, using adaptive shielding and predictive modeling. The storm tried to block them at every turn, yet they pressed forward, rescuing ships and stabilizing critical systems. Alien observers recorded every move in awe. Humans were not just survivors. They were problem solvers, innovators, and leaders in the crisis. Meanwhile, smaller species that had previously been ignored began turning to humans for guidance. Their strategies emphasized cooperation over competition, innovation over destruction. The humans' ability to unite disparate groups became evident. Even species that had clashed for centuries began working together under human coordination. Despite the successes, not all species welcomed humanity's growing authority. Some powerful civilizations feared losing influence. Secretly, plans were made to undermine humans, but each attempt failed. Humans' adaptability and creativity allowed them to respond in unexpected ways, turning potential threats into opportunities for collaboration. On the Starbound Explorer, Elena and her crew studied patterns in the storms and shared their findings with allied fleets. "We are learning more about these storms than anyone else," she explained. "Every challenge teaches us something new. We can't control everything, but we can make a difference wherever we can." Humans' actions were not limited to technology. They emphasized ethical solutions, ensuring that interventions benefited all affected species. They respected local cultures, listened to leaders, and offered guidance rather than orders. This approach won trust, respect, and admiration. One pivotal moment came when a massive storm threatened a system containing several inhabited planets. Alien fleets prepared for evacuation, knowing the damage would be catastrophic. Humans proposed a daring plan, a coordinated network of energy redistribution stations supported by mobile stabilizers. The operation was risky, but human ingenuity allowed them to predict storm behavior and adjust the plan in real time. The operation succeeded. The planets were saved and the galaxy watched in astonishment. The humans had achieved what no other species could, turning a disaster into a controlled solution. Their reputation as leaders, problem solvers, and innovators was now undeniable. Back in the Galactic Council, debates raged. Some members admitted humans were extraordinary, while others still feared their influence. "They are clever," one ambassador admitted, "but they are also unpredictable. How do we know what they will do next?" Xira responded calmly, "That is precisely what makes them remarkable. They adapt, they innovate, and they act with purpose. Any species that underestimates them will regret it." Across countless systems, stories of human courage and ingenuity spread. Humans were credited with saving lives, stabilizing dangerous sectors, and uniting alien populations. Even species that had doubted them began to see humanity not as a threat, but as a force for positive change. Captain Elena, reflecting on the journey so far, realized that humans were more than explorers. They were catalysts. Every system they touched, every species they aided grew stronger and more cooperative. The galaxy was changing because of them, and the transformation had only begun. Yet challenges remained. The energy storms continued to shift and evolve, and not all species were willing to work together. Some factions sought to exploit human successes for their own gain, while others remained suspicious of their motives. Humanity's adaptability, however, allowed them to navigate these challenges with skill and diplomacy. In one daring mission, the Starbound explorer entered a region where storms were densest, hoping to study their origin. Alien observers predicted failure, yet humans used innovative strategies, combining predictive modeling, rapid engineering, and collaboration with local species. The operation succeeded, providing crucial data that could prevent future catastrophes. This achievement further solidified humanity's rising influence. Across the galaxy, younger species began to emulate human methods, learning to think creatively, act decisively, and work cooperatively. Humanity's example became a model of adaptability and resilience, challenging older species to reconsider their assumptions about strength and leadership. As the storms finally began to stabilize, Captain Elena addressed her crew. "We've done something remarkable," she said. "Not because we are the strongest, but because we never stop trying, learning, and adapting." "That is what makes us human," Lieutenant Chen smiled. "We've shown the galaxy that intelligence, creativity, and morality matter just as much as fleets and weapons. They are finally beginning to understand what we are capable of." Even in the farthest reaches of space, alien observers took note. For the first time, many species admitted that humanity's potential was unlike anything they had seen. The warnings of the Galactic Council had proven true. Humans were not a species to underestimate. Across multiple systems, humans' influence continued to grow, not through conquest or aggression, but through innovation, problem-solving, and moral courage. They had transformed a galaxy on the brink of chaos into a network of cooperation, hope, and resilience. And in that transformation lay the turning point. The galaxy had begun to realize that humans were extraordinary, a force capable of changing events not through force, but through ingenuity and perseverance. The seeds planted by the Council's warnings were finally blooming. Captain Elena gazed out at the stars, thinking of Earth, of home. Humanity had taken its first steps into the galaxy, and those steps had become a journey of influence, inspiration, and transformation. The galaxy had learned a powerful lesson. Underestimating humans was a mistake, and the consequences of that mistake were only beginning to unfold. The stage was set for the final chapter. Humanity had proven its resilience, ingenuity, and moral strength. The galaxy was watching, and no one could ignore them any longer. The storms had ended, but the galaxy was forever changed. Whole civilizations now looked to humans with a mix of awe, respect, and uncertainty. What had started as small acts of courage and innovation had grown into something greater, a movement that reshaped the balance of power across the stars. Captain Elena. Vargas stood on the observation deck of the Starbound explorer, gazing at the endless stretch of stars. The galaxy was quiet again, but she knew that peace was only the beginning of a new challenge. "They've called a meeting," Lieutenant Jamal Chen said as he entered the deck. "Every major species, every council member. They want to discuss what comes next." Elena nodded. "They want to decide if humanity should lead, or if they should try to control us." Jamal smiled faintly. "They can try, but I don't think they'll succeed." The Galactic Council chamber was filled with tension. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered, their eyes fixed on the human delegation. Even those who had once ignored humanity now paid close attention. Humans had done what no one else could. They had united the galaxy in survival and taught cooperation through example. Zira, the Council's oldest advisor, stood to speak first. Her voice was calm but firm. For centuries, this council warned against human expansion. We believed their ambition would bring danger. We were wrong. The danger was never their ambition. It was our refusal to understand it. Humanity's courage and creativity have saved us all. Murmurs spread through the hall. Some nodded in agreement. Others looked uneasy. A tall Vortan officer rose next. "We cannot deny their achievements," he said. "But humans are unpredictable. Their ideas change quickly. Can such a species truly lead the galaxy without causing imbalance?" Elena, standing at the center of the chamber, met his gaze. "We never asked to lead," she said clearly. "We only acted when others could not. When lives were at stake, we did what needed to be done. That's what humans do. We don't seek control, we seek progress." Her words carried across the vast chamber. Many delegates lowered their heads, thoughtful and silent. For the first time, the council realized that humanity did not want power for its own sake. Their leadership came naturally, born from courage and compassion, not dominance. Still, some factions were hesitant. Power was not something easily shared in the galaxy. Old rivalries and pride lingered, and many species feared losing influence. To prove her point, Elena proposed something unexpected. "Let us form a cooperative fleet," she said. "A union of species, scientists, engineers, explorers working together to protect and advance the galaxy. Humanity will lead the first mission, but every world will contribute." There was surprise, then cautious approval. The council deliberated for hours, and finally, a decision was made. The new organization would be called the Stellar Accord, a united alliance of worlds built on equality, cooperation, and knowledge. Humanity would serve as its founders and first leaders. Over the next months, humans and aliens worked side by side. Shipyards across multiple systems began construction of new exploration fleets. Scientists shared discoveries, engineers improved designs, and translators worked tirelessly to bridge communication between worlds. The first joint fleet, 12 ships representing 12 different species, was completed within a year. Its flagship was the Unity Dawn, commanded by Captain Elena Vargas herself. On the day of the launch, representatives from across the galaxy gathered to witness the moment. The vast ship gleamed in the light of a nearby star, a symbol of what could be achieved when the galaxy worked together. Dyra, standing beside Elena, looked proud. "This is the beginning of a new age," she said. "And it started because one species refused to give up when everyone else lost hope." Elena smiled. "We just did what humans always do: learn, adapt, and keep moving forward." As the Unity Dawn lifted into the void, cheers echoed across communication channels. Billions watched from their homeworlds as the United Fleet began its journey toward the unknown. The mission was not about war or conquest, but discovery and cooperation. But peace and progress always came with challenges. Not long after the launch, strange signals began to appear from deep space, beyond the known edge of the galaxy. The signals were rhythmic, structured, and ancient. They did not match any known language or code. Scientists from many species struggled to interpret them, but the data made little sense. Some believed it was a natural phenomenon. Others thought it might be a message from an old forgotten civilization. Elena and her crew were sent to investigate. The Unity Dawn traveled beyond charted space, where stars grew sparse and strange gravitational fields distorted time and distance. As they approached the source, they discovered something extraordinary, a colossal structure floating in the darkness. It was not built by any known species. Its design was precise, elegant, and far beyond current technology. "This isn't just ancient," Lieutenant Chen whispered. "It's from before our recorded history. Maybe before the galaxy's civilizations even began." Elena's heart raced. "Then we've just found the origin of the storms," she said quietly. After careful study, they realized that the structure was a dormant energy network. It had malfunctioned long ago, creating the storms that had nearly destroyed countless systems. The humans' earlier efforts had stabilized the symptoms, but this was the source. The Unity Dawn's engineers began repairs with help from alien scientists. It was a task of unimaginable scale, but humanity's persistence and creativity once again guided the way. They worked tirelessly, blending science and intuition, learning from every failure. Finally, after months of effort, the structure began to reactivate. But something unexpected happened. A holographic projection emerged, ancient yet aware. It spoke in a language none understood, yet through the ship's universal translators, meaning became clear. "You have restored what was lost," the entity said. "You are not the first to walk these stars, but you are the first to do so together." The crew was speechless. The hologram continued, "Your unity is your greatest strength. Many before you sought power, but none sought harmony. Because of that, you will succeed where others failed. As the entity faded, the structure released a wave of pure, balanced energy across the galaxy. Systems once unstable became calm. Stars that had been dim began to shine brighter, and communication across the galaxy became faster and clearer. Back in the Council, readings confirmed what everyone hoped: the storms would never return. The galaxy was stable again. Humanity had not only saved civilizations but had awakened something ancient and benevolent. Zira addressed the Council with tears in her eyes. The galaxy warned us about humans because it feared what we did not understand. Now we finally see them for what they truly are: the bridge between what we were and what we can become. Humanity's role was sealed in history. They were no longer the newcomers or the unpredictable species. They were the architects of unity, respected and honored throughout the galaxy. On the Unity dawn, Captain Elena looked out at the stars. The journey had changed her and all of humanity. "We didn't conquer the galaxy," she said softly. "We helped it find itself again." Jamal smiled beside her. "And maybe that's what leadership really means. Not ruling others, but helping everyone rise together." The galaxy continued to evolve. New worlds joined the Stellar Accord. Young species learned from older ones, and exploration reached even farther. Humanity remained at the heart of it, not because of strength, but because of spirit. Years later, legends would spread across the stars about the species that refused to surrender, that turned chaos into hope, and that reminded the galaxy what unity truly meant. And in every corner of the universe, when young explorers looked up at the night sky, they would remember the words that once echoed through the Galactic Council. The galaxy warned us about humans. No one listened until it was too late. But in the end, that was the best thing that ever happened.